Now we need to see how awake anybody is this morning. For those that are really awake, just tell us what's wrong with the first slide, please.
There's no slide for that.
It's actually the third start, not the second.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think Magellan, you're going to be first to the line because you're really awake this morning. Good stuff. If I could give you a head start, maybe we would for that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't mind a head start if that's all right.
That's okay. We were obviously a bit sleepy this morning and didn't change that front slide. So it is the third start, not the second start. So you are in the right place.
But the date is correct. All right. Okay. Well, welcome to the briefing for the third start of the Osaka 25 Osaka race. Apologies for keeping you waiting an extra day. But I thought I'd begin by showing you what the weather was like at around start time yesterday. The winds in the South Channel were 30-35, gusting over 40 knots. So not too pleasant. And this is the wave buoy outside the heads. And you can see the significant height waves were at least 6 meters. So it would have been a very nasty place to be going through the heads yesterday. And these waves were all wind-driven waves, not swell-driven waves. So the back of them would have been very steep and pretty ugly going out through the heads. So we felt best to err on the side of caution. We don't want to break boats and crew in the first few hours. You've got a long way to go. So today is a much nicer day to start the race. Okay, a few just pre-race to-do lists. When you leave the dock, turn on your tracker so we can check that it's all working. Switch on your VHF to 82 international channels, and you can communicate with the race team on 82. There'll be a sign-on 82 at 10:45 just to confirm everybody's a starter and what have you. And then at 11:15, switch to channel 12 to get the shipping advice, so we can tell you what ships are coming and going in the heads, and to confirm the start will be on time. And then stay on 12. Ideally, dual watching with 16 until you're well clear of the heads, 3 nautical miles. The start's at 11:30. Take it easy on the start. The tide will still be ebbing. It will be a reaching start, so take it easy. You've got a long way to go to Osaka. No point being over enthusiastic on the start line, so take it easy. We do have a Navy ship, the Arunta. It is going to be anchored north of the start line by a few hundred meters. They actually will be firing the starting signal, but the official start boat will be the Sorrento Sailing Club boat, where all the flags will be showing. It'll be something like 200 meters north of the pink mark that we lay off the Portsea Pier. But there will be a sound signal coming from the Navy ship. They will be up anchoring pretty soon after the start and heading out the head, so keep clear of them and any other commercial shipping, of course. So here's a picture of Portsea Pier, and I've just shown where the Arunta will be. It's well north of the start line, but okay. Just pointing out some information about the tides. Slack water is at noon roughly. But you'll see the maximum ebb is at 8:05. So it will be ebbing slightly still at race start time at 11:30. So, but not by much. Okay, just a bit of a reminder: when you leave Portsea, you have to go out around that mark over near Shortland Bluff, and then stay west of that exclusion zone before you head out to sea, and then turn east at the furthest mark. I expect that the 3 marks in the heads, that is the one at Shortland Bluff, the one in the heads, and the one south of the heads, will be shown as AIS marks. I'll make sure that the Port of Melbourne turn those on and keep clear of, keep west of those marks at all times. And also, when you head out to sea, keep clear of the pilot boarding ground southwest of the heads before you turn east to on the way to Osaka. Okay, a little bit about the weather map today. So we've got a broad high pressure system coming in from the west that's going to move across the racetrack over the next 2 or 3 days. Nothing too exciting, but it'll move progressively across the racetrack. The winds, this is the weather map tomorrow. That high pressure system will be centered over the state, a little bit north of Bass Strait. So it means that the winds will lighten and they'll become more westerly, and instead of southerly southwesterly as they are today. But they will lighten as you head across Bass Strait. And then on Wednesday, that high pressure system has moved out into the Tasman. And so you're starting to see, certainly as you turn the corner at Gaybo and heading up the East Coast, you'll start to see a northerly flow. And it'll be quite fresh. And I think Rod will say a little bit more about that later on. So the outlook for the next 2 or 3 days is...
Excuse me, Ray. Just
yes?
Sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
The setting for all the people to see your current slide is not active. So for people to see your current slide, there's some arrow bars down the bottom left to come up to your current slide. Is that what you're saying, Peter? Dowden?
Yeah, I think that might
Lord
just
Jiminy
be
is
internet
slide
connection.
11.
Yeah, it's just slow internet, Pete. So you might need to just bear with it, because the current slide 11 for everyone, and it must just be poor internet where you are, mate.
You're seeing it, Neville, are you?
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, Ray.
All right, no problem. So anyhow, okay, so the weather outlook is southerly, southwesterly today of something like 15 knots. It'll gradually lighten as you go across Bass Strait along the Victorian coast, then shift more northerly and freshen, and Rod will talk a little bit more about that later. The weather at the start today is going to be southerly southwesterly of something of 10 to 15 knots, gusting up to 20 low 20s maybe. So a much better outlook than we had yesterday. And wave wise, the waves will still be 3 to 4 meters outside the heads. But the picture is quite different. If you'd looked at the waves yesterday, they were that and a bit more. But the nice thing about today is the component of the waves that are driven by the wind has gone right down to something like a meter. And most of the waves you're going to see out there today are swell waves. So they're going to be quite a bit less nasty than they would have been yesterday, where the waves were all driven by the wind. So the sea should be a lot more tolerant, forgiving today. So easier sailing for you. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Rod. Rod's part of the weather team, and he's also our resident expedition expert. So he's going to walk you through some routings he's done for the first 2 or 3 days of your trip. Rod.
Thanks, Ray. I've got control. But firstly, the area between the heads exit and the channel clearing on that exclusion zone in the heads, I just want to sort of give a warning there that it's a nasty piece of water. It's called the Rip Bank, and because we've got an ebbing tide and a southwesterly wind, they're likely to be nasty little waves with no backs. So just for that little area, I wouldn't be pushing your boat, because it's not a great place to be. You've really got no choice, because you have to go out through that exclusion zone or past that exclusion zone. So getting on to what you can see now, I've got 3 slides coming up, and once you get out of that exclusion zone, you're going to be sort of generally broad reaching until you get to the prom. Just on the prom, there's a traffic separation scheme there, and also below the gas fields. You can go north of the traffic separation scheme if you're close to the prom. And so most of you should be in the gas fields tomorrow. The wind is going to abate behind you, and it's going to become quite variable crossing the paddock there, but it should be a sort of a standard paddock crossing. By day 2, I've got you a little bit spread out, and going past Gabo around about then, and you'll notice on the when you pass Gabo, you're going to go into northerly winds for a few days actually. So you've got a couple of days to sort of get used to that, and it could be quite hectic, somewhere between 25 and 35. And by day 3, I've got you well and truly getting up the coast, but mostly headwinds until you get to the horse latitudes, and then it's going to lighten off somewhat, and it's going to be a tricky passage or transit through those horse latitudes until you get into the trades. This is the current situation on the current. It's very, very strong around Sydney, sort of from Coffs Harbour down to Sydney, and it's quite strong and close to the coast as well. From sort of Narooma down to Gabo Island, and also those reverse eddies are just as strong offshore. The one thing that I just wanted to highlight to you is this potential headwinds when you get around Gabo Island of between 25 and 35, gusting to 35. So just be careful of that. And finally, to everybody, all the very best. For those that are doing it for the first time, this is the gift that keeps on giving. And for those who have done it before, go get them. Thank you.
Thanks, Rod. So just a few little closing reminders. Life jackets to be worn at all times, double-handed, and of course you're going out through the heads, which is a bar, so life jackets are compulsory. Reminder again about those exclusion zones, the one in the heads and the one south of the heads. Keep share all your experiences with everybody watching online through text and photos and videos and what have you. The more you can send, the more we can keep everybody informed about how your adventure's proceeding. Just a final reminder, the positions SCEDS, not SHED, SCEDS, is using the Eastern Standard Time. So that's the non-summer time. So we're staying on Zulu +10 all the time for position SCEDS, so not summertime. Finally, sail safely and enjoy the race. And that's it. Are there anyone have any questions?
I see Peter Dowdney still has his hand up. I'm not sure if that's a carryover, but could we check, please?
Okay. Yes. Okay. That maybe that was from.
I'm all good, guys.
Okay.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Okay.
Ray and Rod, once we're finished.
Good luck, everyone.
Thank you. Good luck, everyone. And Ray and Rod, would you mind staying on just after we've everyone's left, please?
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you at the start line, and we'll see you off at 11:30.